they can't win any of these arguments, they simply declare something decided. For the longest time, they would declare it decided and mock you if you dissented. Republicans are stupid. W. Bush is stupid. Dan Quayle is stupid. Sarah Palin is stupid. We're all stupid. Or you're demagogues. Rush Limbaugh's a demagogue. Conservative talk show hosts are demagogues. In other words, don't actually deal with the idea. Label it as something that's stupid. Label it as bigoted, as a way of just ending the debate. American college campuses have been at the forefront of this, but they've taken it to a new level where you literally can't speak on certain issues and ideas. There's a university in Milwaukee, Catholic university, Jesuit university, called Marquette University. The story deserves a national forum, so I'm going to give it one. A philosophy class. It's being taught by a teaching assistant. That's what happens at a lot of four-year universities. Kids go in debt, families go into debt into six figures just so that they can have a teaching assistant, not even a professor teach a class. There's a teaching assistant in a philosophy course. Her name is Cheryl Abate. And they were discussing something in this philosophy course. And remember, this is a Catholic university. Something pertaining to homosexuality. What? I don't know. I wasn't there. There are different versions. What did happen, however, is that a student, in the context of this discussion, wanted to state his opposition to gay marriage. The instructor, Cheryl Abate, said he can't because it might be hurtful to gay students who were in the class. When he stated that it was his right to express his point of view, according to him, he claims that she alleged that he was homophobic. In other words, in a classroom setting, in an academic university, in a philosophy course where one would think that the entire point is to debate ideas, he was told he couldn't express his opinions on gay marriage. You would think that would be the end of this story. In fact, that isn't even the story. The story is what happened next. The student relayed to what happened to another professor. That professor's name is John McAdams. John's been around a long time. He's a rarity. He's a conservative university professor. He's kind of a curmudgeon. John's been at Marquette for a long time. He's a professor of political science, and he's a blogger. The internet came around, and suddenly that silent minority, conservative professors, suddenly have a forum. To give you an indication of where John McAdams comes from, Marquette 20 years ago dumped its university team nickname Warrior because somebody determined that it was offensive to Native Americans. He still calls his blog MU Warrior. On his blog, he wrote about what happened in this philosophy course, where the instructor told the student that he couldn't express his opposition to gay marriage because this might be hurtful to students in the class who are gay. McAdams commented on how it's another example of how universities, even in this case a Roman Catholic university, use this victim status to stifle debate. Oh my goodness, if someone hears a point of view like this, it could be offensive, it could be hurtful to that student, and we have to protect that student from hearing something that may offend him or her, that may be hurtful. McAdams made the point, and it's a good one, that universities are places where every belief that a person has ought to be challenged. You go there to think. You go there to learn. You go there to be exposed to ideas. You go there to be able to develop your own ideas and philosophy. Instead, we have made so many subjects at American universities absolutely off limits. We establish speech codes. You can't say this, you can't say that. Before we discuss any number of things, professors are told to put in disclaimers that this might be offensive or upsetting to you. What we've done is we've taken American university students, virtually all of whom are 18 or over, meaning they are adults, and we've turned them into little infants in which they have to be sheltered from ideas in the very place that ideas ought to be most aggressively debated, examined, and challenged. So McAdams wrote about this, and he said, look how far it's gone. A student at a Catholic university can't even say aloud in class that he's opposed to gay marriage, banned from saying it. That's what McAdams wrote in his blog. For writing that, John McAdams is, as I speak to you today, not allowed to set foot on the campus of Marquette University. The administration threw him off. He is a tenured professor who's been there for decades. They threw him off of campus pending an investigation. He's still paid, but he's not allowed literally to set foot on campus. He says he's being treated as if he were a terrorist. I suspect that they intend to fire him. The university sent him a letter saying that he's being investigated. And the university president, without addressing the situation specifically, said, we need to make sure that all students, and a reminder that teaching assistants are still graduate students, all students be protected from harassment and attack. So apparently the sin that they're accusing Professor McAdams of is of daring to criticize the actions of this person who was functioning as a member of the faculty. This is what it's come to. Now, if you're a student and you dare express an idea that is deemed to be politically incorrect, you're told you can't talk. And if you're a professor and you criticize that, they'll try to take your job away. Wow. That's a Catholic university. This is a real wow moment. A lot of people have spent a lot of time researching what's been happening with these campus speech codes and how universities that used to be the place where we had open inquiry and debate, where people would express every imaginable point of view. It's why so many Marxists are on campus. It's the place they were allowed to be open Marxists. Now, American universities are places in which, if you dare say certain things, we'll not only hush you up, we might fire you. The Marquette campus community is kind of debating what's happening here to Professor McAdams. But a lot of people on the left and a lot of his fellow faculty members, they kind of like it. You know why they like it? Because they figured out what to do with those pesky little conservatives who bring up conservative ideas. We not only are going to tell you to shut up, we're going to say you can't work here if you say these things. The left in America is having a hard time winning arguments, so they simply don't allow the argument to occur. It started with the labeling of those of us who are conservative as idiots, boobs, buffoons, bigots, engagers in hate speech. But now it's beyond that. If you are a tenured professor with academic freedom at a Catholic university, we're going to take your job away. It's such a remarkable story, such a remarkable reaction. In fact, my opinion of what happened here is that the graduate assistant who was functioning as the faculty member here, Cheryl Abate, was acting as an ideological bully. She was using her power as professor to bully a student into not thinking what he wanted to think and not saying what he wanted to say. Instead of standing up on behalf of the student, who was stifled and denied the right to think and speak and express himself at a university where he's paying a fortune in tuition, the university goes and tries to crack down on someone who stands up for the very openness that you'd think that a university like that would admire. These speech codes that are in place in society and the labeling of all of us who dare to dissent on anything. These are the biggest threats to free speech and free expression in our country. As for what happened at little old Marquette University, which I'm proud to tell the entire country listening to the Rush program about, I actually don't think you could have gotten away with it at a much more liberal university. University of Wisconsin-Madison, Madison's Looneyville, University of Cal Berkeley, Berkeley, California, very lefty. At least there, in government-run institutions, there's somebody that you can gripe to, elected officials who might have some control over the university. Here at a place like Marquette, privately run, where they literally can do what they want, as they're demonstrating, all you can do is complain about it. You would think that maybe the religious institutions in America would be a refuge from the speech codes, the sanctioning, the stifling. You would think that perhaps they might be a place where you're at least allowed to think in a traditional fashion, where you're allowed to hold beliefs that may actually be religiously based, but no. Instead, there's an assault on them. Marquette University, in this instance, disgraces itself. But I suspect it's not going to be the last time it's tried. Dare say the wrong thing on an American university campus? You're fired. That's the way you win an argument that you couldn't win by using the powers of persuasion. Just fire the people who say it. I'm Mark Elling, sitting in for Rush.